Hello friend, how are you? Welcome to Tripan Study Center. Today we are doing most important chapter of history. What is the topic today? Cultural development in the Middle East, India. There is a most important chapter and the point here arrive of Sufism. Sufism is the most important here of 18th century. Sufism is a term used to be referred to mystically religious idea in Islam. These are mystical is a religious idea of Islam and it has involved into the well development movement by 11th century. And Sufis stress on the importance of transversing their path of Sufi Pir, enabling on the establish a direct communication. There is a communication with there is a divine. A Sufism or the mysticism emerged in a 18th century, and among their earlier known as Sufi were here Rabia al-Adawai and Al-Zunad as Balavid Bastami. There is a most important name here. A fundamental to Sufism is a God. The man, their relation between there that is a love, and there is a belief that from man emerge the theories of Ruh. There is Ruh Uday. The Ruh is most important, the soil, and the Kurbat. Kurbat is divine supremacy, and Halul. Halul is invention of their divine spirit, and that from the relation between God and man. Ideas such as ishq, division love, and fana, self annihilation. There is a fana and the love. There is a ishq is most important for the Sufism. And come into began, and there is a Sufis were regarded as a people who keep there is a heart pure, and they started to the communicate with the God through there is the ascetics is a practice and doctrines and divine love and the union with the God. That is the most important point here. Note down love and union with the God. The murid discipline is a pass through the maqamat various stages. In this is a process of experiencing communication with the divine. There is a khawkal, there is hopeless, and the center of activity of the various Sufi order. The khawkha was led to the Saikha Pir as a Murasid, is a teacher who lived with his Murad, discipline, and in the time of the Khanako is emerged as an important center of learning and the preachings. By the 12th century, the Sufi were organized the silsilas, is order. There are silsilas mean order. There is a word silsila is a mean chain, and it is represented to signify on the unbreakable chain between to the Pir and Murad. With the death of the Pir, his stub and the sharing to the Dargah is become a center for the discipline and the follower. Dargah is the most important the follower, and there is a discipline. In the 10th century, Sufi spread across the important religions of the Islamic Empire. Iran, Khorasan, Tarassonia, Egypt, Syria, Baghdad, and the important Sufi center. Ghazali is a 1059 to 1111 AD is among the most is a venerate of Sufi. He is consulate to Islamic mysticism with Islamic order 60 as providing to Sufi mysticism as a sure place in the Islam. He stressed on the need for the husband to follow the guidelines of spiritually is master. He also imposes on the supreme authorities of holy prophet and their need to the oral law in the both letter and spirit. The Sufi movement in India is commenced in the 11th century AD. The Al-Huzawiris, who is established himself in the North India, was buried in the Lahore and regarded as the oldest Sufi in the subcontinent. Among the important Sufi order in the history of medieval India were those of the Chistitiya and the Survadiya and the Qadiriya and the Naqshbandiya. There is the most important here on the Middle India. Chishti and Sarwadi silsila were popular during the Sultanate period. Their Sarwadi were active in Punjab and Sindh, while the Chistis as were too active in Delhi. Rajasthan and part of the western is a Ganatrix plan. By the end of the Sultanate period, they had to spread to the eastern region of the Gangetic plan. Gangetic plan here Bihar and Bengal. And into Deccan during the middle period, the Sufi has a play an important role in the interpreting and elaborating on the Islamic is a theologically concept like a Bahadat ul Wazud is a unit of began. There is the most important unity of began and also encourages the development of practice like a ziyarat, the practice of visiting terms. And the here the Sufi movement as is emerged in the India has the following feature. The first feature, the Sufi were organized in a number of different silsila order. And most of this order were led by the some prominent Sufi sant or Peer. It was or named is after them and followed by the discipline. There is a most important here point, a feature of Sufi movement. Note down your copies. The Sufis believe that is a union and God one need a spiritual guru and peer. The Sufi peer is a khanqa with there is a discipline. There is the most important here. Next feature here, the khanqa, there is a hypothesis as was the center of Sufi activity. The khanqa is emerged as important center of learning which were a different form of madras, the center of theology. The many Sufi enjoy the musically is a congregation of Sama. In there is a Kanaga. There is a most important Sama in a Kanaga as there are a musical from call to the Qawwali is a development during this period. The Qawwali is the most important as Sufi enjoy the musically congregation and the Sama. The ziyarat as a image is to the terms of the Sufi sant soon emerged as on the important from a rituals pilgrim image. And most of the Sufi believe in the perform of the miracle. The perform of miracle, almost all the peer were is associated with the miracle performed by them. The different Sufi order had diverse the approaches about the matter of politics and state. The next year, the Chishti Silsila. The Chishti Silsila order was established in India by Muinuddin Chishti. Muinuddin Chishti is established in India on the Chishti Silsila. He seemed to have a move into India after the invention of Muinuddin Muhammad Gauri and subsequently to Ajmer in 1206. The fame of the Khwaja Muinuddin is great after his death in 1235. His the grave was visited by Muhammad Tughlaq, after which the mosques and dome were erected by the Muhammad Khalji as a Malwas in the 15th century. Muhammad Khalji of the Malwa in the 15th century. There is a Patagon's of this is a Dargah is peak after the reign of the Mughal Empire Akbar. Here show the Ajmer Dargah. There is a most important visit to the Akbar. The next important topic that Chishti believe in. There is a most important is a point a Chishti believe in. Chishti only believe in a love as the bond between God and invisible soul. The second, the tolerance between two people of different faiths. Acceptance of discipline irrespective of their religious belief. An attitude of the benevolence to all. Association with the Hindu and Jain yogis and use a simple language. There is a Chishti belief here. The The Chisti's presence in Delhi was established by Kutubuddin Bhattacharya Khaki, who is the settled in Delhi from the homeland in Tarkoxina in the 1221. There is an important period of time, and this was at the time of the Mongol invasion when there was the steady flow of the people from Central Asia fell there from the Mongol. His presence in the Delhi was a threat of the Suharwadis and who sought to force him to leave by the levelings or charges against him. The Sultan of Delhi is Itumis. This means this is a temple to the eventually is a forcing to the Suharwadis of the relent. The Chisti is a peer, laid a great emphasis on the simplicity of the life, poverty, humility, and selfless, and devotion of to God. The recognition of the worldly possession was regarded by them as a censorship of the control of the sense that was necessary to maintain a spiritual life. Khwaja Zminuddin Chisti agreed that the highest form of devotion to God was to redress the misery of those distressed, fulfill with the need of the helpless, and to be filled the hungry. There is a refuse to accept any grant for their maintenance from a sultan. That is important. The other important Chisti Baba Fariduddin Jain is a Shankar, established himself at the Hansi in Haryana on the routes between to the Multan and the Lahore. Nizauddin Alawiya was the best known as a Chisti sant of the Sultanate period. That important point. A Chisti sant of the Sultanate period, he lived in there is a 14th century during a period of the political change and turmoils. During his lifetime, he was a witness to be establishment of the Khalji rule after death of the Balban, and subsequently is establishment of the Tughlaq. There are numerous stories surrounding the life of the Nizauddin Aliyu. Is famous among them were the story of his confrontations with the Sultan of Delhi. The Khwaja is said to have maintained a strict policy of not involving himself with the various group and function of the Sultan as a court in a Delhi and erring to him to the respect of many. Nazaruddin Chiraga is Delhi was another of the Chisti Sant of Delhi. He played an active role in the is a political affair of the period. All this is enabled to the Sufi to maintain a loyal and their dedicated following. In the 30th century, the Chisti order was established in the Deccan by Sakha. Is a Burhanuddin Garib. The Burhanuddin Garib between to the 40th to 60th century. Many Chisti Sufi is a migrate to the Gulbagh. This was accompanied with a change where some of the Chistis began accepting a grant and patrons from to the rulings establishment. Muhammad Banda is a Nawaz is among the famous peer in the religion, and the Deccan city of the Bijapur emerged as an important center for a Sufi activity. The next year, Surwadi Silsila, there is the most important here. This silsila was founded by the Sikhauddin Surwadi is a Bhagwad. It was established in India by the Bahauddin Zacarias. He is founded by the Surwadi order and the base in the Mutan, which was under the control of the Kuvacha. He was a critical of Kuvacha and openly is a favor to Itumis over his arrival, and his way very different from that of the Chistis. The Suradis is unlike the Chistis accepted the maintenance is a grant from the Sultans. There is a belief that a Sufi should be possess the three attributes of poverty, knowledge, and all are mystically is engagement. Survadi is a sant is agreed that it was a necessity to ensure that they serve the poor better. He stressed on the observance's external force of the religious belief and advocated a combination of the Islam scholarship with the mysticism. The practice lies bowing before a sheikh and presenting to the water to the visit and tossing their head. At the time of the intentions to the order that is a Chisti had is adopted were rejected. After his death, the Silsila continued to play an important role in Punjab and Sindh. There is a most important here. Asrawadi Silsila is only is a continue play an important role in Punjab and Sindh. The next here is the most important here are Naqshbandi. Naqshbandi Silsila. Naqshbandi Silsila is the most important in India. This order was established by the Khwaja Bahauddin. Is the Naqshbandi. There is a most important here established of the Khwaja is a Bahauddin's Naqshbandi. From there is a beginning to the matrix of the order stress on the is the observance of the Shariat and denominates all the invention of the Vidyat. There is important here. And the Sheikh is a Beku Villa. The sensation of the Khwaja is a Bahauddin's is a Nasbandi is a settled near to Delhi. And his successor, Shaikh Ahmad Sirhindi, is attempted to the pure Islam from all the levels and what we believe there is a un-Islamic practice. And he is opposed the listening of the Sama. The Sama here, religious music. And the practice of the pilgrimage to be a terms of the Sant. He is opposed interaction with the Hindu and the Shia. He is a criticized there is a new status according to the Akbar to the many non-Muslim. The withdrawal of the Zayah and this ban on the cow slaughter. The slaughter and his belief that it was the Mujahideen is a renewal of the first millennium of the Islam. Millenniums of the Islam, he is maintaining that is a relationship between man and God. Was that is between to the slave and their master and not the relation of the lover and believed he is imposes his individually as a unique relation of faith and responsibility to the God as a creator. He tried to the Harimansons and the Domestines of mysticism and the techniques of the orthodox of Islam. There is a most important Naqshi Wadi Silsila. There is a most important. The next year, Qadri. Qadri Silsila. The Qadri Silsila is the most important. There, the Qadariya Silsila was popular in a Punjab. Is a Qadariya Silsila is a popular in a Punjab. There is a Sheikh Abdul Qadir and his son were a supporter of the Mughals under Akbar. The peers of the order supported there is a concept of the Wahadat and Wazud. Among the famous Sufi of this order was a Mian Mir. The Mian Mir who has enrolled there is a Mughal princess is a Zahanara and there is a brother Dara as it is planned. There is a most important Mughal princess Zahanara and brother is Dara. Dara is a brother of the Aurangzeb and there is the Jahara and the brother Dara as a display of here of is a Qadri Silsila. The influence of the Sheikh as a teaching is evident in the work of the prince. Shah is a Bad Sakhmi is another is a peer of the Silsila with the dismissing to orthodox of element. and declare that the infidels who had perceived or related and recognized it was a believer, and that a believer who did not recognize or relative was an infidel. During his middle period, there was a contact, is a tension between the liberal and orthodox is a view in Islam. The Sufi is a feature on the both sides. Well, there was those like there are Christians who held to liberal view of the agreed in favor of the assimilation of the local traditions. There is other like a Sikh Abdul Haq of the is a Qadiriya is a Silsila. There is the most important. There is the next is Silsila is the Abdul Haq of the Qadiriya Silsila who held to the view that the purity of Islam was began to diluted. This orthodox view was represented by there is a ulema that is agreed from to the perspectives of began upholder of the Sareta, and she liberal is opinion found its voice among many Sufi who is agreed against the narrow defined of the Islamic law by the ulema. Our next topic is the most important here, the Bhakti movement. There is a part of chapter of culture development in the Middle India. There is a most important chapter and the important here point, the Bhakti movement. The Bhakti movement is the most important of all competitions. The Bhakti movement in the India is a history represented as a movement that is a popularized a revelation of surrender to the personality is a conceive a supreme God. It's a organized art traced to the Brahmanicals and Buddhist traditional of ancient India. It was in the South India that is a grab from a religious tradition into a popular movement based on the religious equalities and a broad base of social participation. The movement led by popular Sant reached its climax in the 10th century AD. In its attempt to be embrace the concept of bhakti, there is a movement in different religions and derived from a diverse tradition and assumed to the difference from in different part of the subcontinent. The bhakti movement is a attempt to the break away from to the orthodox is a Brahmanism. The movement gathered to the momentum in the earlier Middle period. The historians had attempted to associate the origin of the bhakti movement in India with the advent of the Islam and the spread of the Sufism. They agree that the Turkish is a conquest is a power there is a wave for a reaction against the conformist Rajput Brahman domination. The rise of Bhakti movement is considered by some scholars as a reaction against the feudal's operation, and this anti-feudal turns to be a poetry by Bhakti Sant like Kabir, Nanak, Chaitanya, and Tulsidas are seen in the illustration of the point. There is no single opinion about the origin of the Bhakti movement that can be sustained. It is clear from the poetry and the philosophy of the Bhakti Sant that there is a broke away from to the orthodox of Brahmanism. They believed a religious equality and identified to themselves with the suffering of the common people. Some scholars feel that is a social economical change in the earlier Middle period and provide the necessary is a backdrop of the understand the emergence of the Bhakti movement. During the 13th and 14th century, the demand of the manufacture of goods, the luxuries and other artisans is a good increasing leading to the movement of artisans into the cities. The artisans were attracted to the Bhakti because of it is a deal of the equality. This group where is a dissatisfied with the low status is accorded to be them to the Brahminical system. The movement again to the support from these classes of society, and there is also a few variation in the place like a Punjab where are not only a Khatris but Jat is a peasant as where also is a attract to this movement. The Bhakti movement in the earlier Middle period represent an important movement from reform and change. After the rise of the heterodox is a moment of 60th century BC, there is a Bhakti movement represent another phase of Indian history in which a new idea and practice to the emerge, influencing to the country as a was initiating form of movement. The next year, the Bhakti movement in the northern India. The Bhakti movement in the northern included social religious movement that were linked to be one of the Acharya from to the south and the sometimes seen to the constitutionally of the movement that organized in the south. Though there is very similarity in the tradition of the two regions, the nation of Bhakti the varied in the teachings of each of the sant. The Nirgun Bhakti like a Kabir rejected the is a Brahma and all the convention based on the constitution of the company's new value and helping to emerge of the new group and new is box is a potent and sad. There are Sagun Bhakti like a Tulsi Das on the other hand is upheld the caste system and the supremacy of the Brahmins. They are preached to religious of surrender and simple faith in a personal God and had strong commitment to the idols of worship. The next year is a monotheistic bhakti. The Kabir is a 1440 is a 1518 AD was the earliest and most influential bhakti sant in northern India. He was a weaver. He spent a large part of the life in the Naras. He is the poem where is included in the Sikh scripture. There Adil is a Granth. Adi Granth is most important among these who were influenced by there is a Kabir Vera Raidas, who was a 10 years by the caste the Banaras is a Guru Nanak who was the is a Khatri from to Punjab and Dana who was the Jat peasant from Rajasthan. There are similarity in the teaching of the various monotheistic bhakti sant in northern India. The first era, most of the monotheists is belong to the low caste and where is aware that there is excited to the unity in their idea. There is also aware of each other is the teachings and influence in the and there is a various from to the mention teach other and there is a predecessors in there is a manners suggesting to the ideological affinities among them. All of them were influenced by the Vaishnava is a concept of the Bhakti. The Nath Panthi is the moment and Sufism. There is an idea seem to be a synthesis of the three traditions. The importance given to the personal experience of Bhakti Sant with the God was another common feature among to the monotheistic Bhakti Sant. Nirgun Bhakti and not a Sagun Bhakti was what they believe in. They had adopted to the notion of the Bhakti from a Vaishnavism and but they give to the Nirgun orientation. Though there is a call to God using different name and title, their God was a non-incarnate, formless and eternal and infallible. The Bhakti Santa refused any formal association with the organized dominant or religious of the time. Hinduism and Islam and there criticized that is regarded to be a there is negative accept and there is religious. And they reject to the authorities of their Brahmans and attract the caste system and practice of idolatries. And they compose there is a poem in a popular language and the lyrics of spoken across the northern India and this enabled them to the transmit there is the idea among to the masses. It is a help there is the idea to the spread of rapidly among to the various lower classes. The next year is a Vaishnava Bhakti. The Vaishnava Bhakti is in the 14th to the earlier 15th century. Ramananda emerged as popular Vaishnava Bhakti. The son of northern India. Though he was from the south, he is lived in the Banaras because he is considered it to be the link between to the South India Bhakti and North India Vaishnava Bhakti tradition. He is looked upon to the Ram and the not of Vishnu as the object of bhakti. He is a worship to Ram and Sita and come to be identified as the founder of Ram Kuyut in there is a northern India. He like the Namaste Bhakti son also reject is a caste, chases and pursued in the local language in the attempt to the popularize to the cult. His follower is called to the Ramandas this. Ramanandis is the Tulsi Das also is a champion to their bhakti case. In the earlier 16th century, Vallabhchari, a popular bhakti son, popularized is the Krishna bhakti. Among those who is a follow his is a footstep as a Shurdas 1483 to 1563 and Mirabai 1503 to 1573 is a Vallabhacharya is the most important popular bhakti sant. The Vaishnava Bhakti movement is a Bengal was very different from its counterparts in the northern India and south. It was influenced by the Vaishnava Bhakti tradition of their Bhagavad Puran. The Bhagavad Puran and the Sahasvya is a Buddhist and Nathapanthist tradition. And this tradition focus on the aesthetics of the emotionally accepted of the devotion. In the 12th century, the Jayadev was the important Bhakti Sant in tradition. He highlighted to the mystical dimension of the love with the reference to Krishna and Radha. Chaitanya was the popular Bhakti Sant from the religion. He is looked upon to the is the avatar of Krishna. Though this is not to be a question the authorities of the Brahmins and the scriptures, he also popularized the Sankiran is a group of devotion as a song accompanied with the statistics dancing. With him to the Bhakti movement is Bengal began to devolve into the reform movement with the notation of the caste division that come to be questioned. In Maharashtra, the Bhakti movement drew to the inspiration from to the Bhagavad Puran and the Shiva Nathpanthis. There is a Janaveswar was the opinions is a Bhakti Sant of Maharashtra. He is a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita called to the Janaveswaris serve as a foundation of the Bhakti ideology in Maharashtra. Agrees against the caste restrictions, he believed that the only way to the attain God was the truly Bhakti. The Vithoba is the god of his the sin and that it is a follower to perform to the pilgrimage to the temple twice an year. There is important Vithoba. Vithoba is the god of this sect to the follower and the Vidhapa is a Pandopura is become the ministry of the moment of the Maharashtra. Namdev is a 1270 to 1350 was the another important Bhakti Sant from Maharashtra. Well, he is a remember in the northern India is a nomastic tradition as a Nirgun Sant. In the Maharashtra, he is considered to be a part of the Barakari's tradition, the Vaishnava devotion of tradition. Some of the other important Bhakti Sant of Maharashtra were to Sant Choka, Sonara, Tulkarams, and the Eknath. Tulkaram as a teaching art in there is a form of the is Avengas Dovas, which is a constitute of the Gotha. There is a Eknatha is as a teaching that where is a Marathi attempted to the shift the emphasis of the Marathi literature from especially is an evocative composition. There is a important. The next topic is the most important here. Sikhism. Sikhism is the most important. There is the teaching and philosophy of the Guru Nanak from an important part of Indian philosophical is a thought. His philosophy of the consists of three basic elements leading a charismatic personality, the Guru. Ideology is a Savad and the organization is a Sangat. The Nanak is elaborated and utilized the preferences the religious as a belief and the template to the establish a true religion, which could be lead to the salvation. He is repudiating idols worship and did not be a favor to the Pili image. and not accept the theory of the incarnation. He condemned to the pluralism and the Aristotelianism, and he laid emphasis on having a true guru for a revelation. He advised to people to follow the principle of conduct and worship such true halal love is even, and the khair washing well of the other, niyat right of intention, and serve to the Lord. That is the most important here a principle for the Sikhism. There is a true, is a half fool's ignorance, is a wishing well of the others, right attentions. There is the most important principle for the Sikhism here. He denies it there is a caste system and the equality is a cases. That is important and the agrees that the caste and honor should be judged by the act as the duty to the individual. He is allowed to the stress on the concept of the justice, rightness, and the liberty. His awareness is the mainly consists of two bases concept such and norm. That is the most important concept here, truth and name. The basis of there is a divineness to expression for him and where to the found by the Savad the word. The Guru the divines is a precept and the who comes there is a divines of the order. He has introduced the concept of the langars, a community or kitchen. The community is a langar is the most important. Guru Nanak is a identifies himself with the people or the ruled. And through the Sikh Guru has a stress on the equalities, the social differentiation among to the follower continued. It was only to about the end of the social end of there is the 17th century that a Guru is a Gobind Singh is arrested. There is the idea of equality. There is the most important 17th century Guru is Gobind Singh is a research at it the idea of equality. In a 1699, Guru Gobind Singh is attempted to resolve the difference among the various Sikh group and create the Khalsa. The Khalsa is the most important, and this institution removed the Mansan as intermediaries. Thereafter, every Sikh was to have a direct link with the Guru. To create a sense of the unity among there is a Sikh, the Guru started some of practice which were do the follow by the Sikh. This where is an initiation through there is a patriotism of the double address is a as word. The wearing the uncut hair, carrying to the arms, and adopting there is a spectre sings as a part of the name. The idea of Guru is a Panth was another institutional idea that emerged during the period. It is a sanctified that is a collective authorities of the Khalsa Panth, which is equated there is a Panth with the Guru. The Guru Nanak is his the last day had to the nominated a successor and the paid homage to him. And this gives rise to the idea that a Guru and a Sikh were interchangeable. And this create a problem for the institution of the Sangat. That was a collective body of the Sikh in which the God was said to be present. When the Guru Gobind Singh created the Khalsa, he chose the Panch Pyare. There are five beloved, and they requested him to be a administrator. There is a Pahul, is a Amrit Chakha to be him, and with this is a difference between to the Guru and the Khalsa was a symbolically is removed. Guru Gobind Singh Ji believed to be have said that the Khalsa is his oven roof from. Guru Nanak was a form to the Khatri is a mercantile is a caste where has a follower where is a mostly is a ruler judge. It was a Guru Gobind Singh Ji who is a inaugurated their Khalsa among the Sikhs. And there is a Guru Nanak is a comply. There is a Guru Granth Sahib. After death of Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th of Guru, their tradition of the Guru ended. It was a belief that the spirit of the Guru did not be passed on to any successor, but instead reminded within the is a Sri Guru Granth Sahib. So our next topic is the most important here, literature and languages. There is a most important topic here, And there is a first point, Sanskriti literature. Sanskriti literature is the most important here. The medieval period is a witness the growth of the rich corpus of the literature. There is a accompaniment to the development of the new language. There is an important. The conventionally is a view among to the historians as was that is a patagons of the Sanskrit language had declined because there are establishment of the Delhi Sultanate and led to be a patagons to be a Parisian there, but there is a period is a witness the growth of the rich corpus of Sanskrit literature, and this period is a marked with the composition of the poeticalist words called to the kavya. The kavya is most important is a poeticalist narratives, and there are texts that is a codified to the law of called to the Dharam Shastra is the most important Sanskrit literature. During the first half of the Middle period, Sanskrit received a patronage from to the Manuras is a smaller political establishment. In the center and the south India, in a western India is a Hemachandra Suri. Hemachandra Suri was the important Jain scholar who is a composed work in a Sanskrit, as was the Chaitanya. There is a most important work here, Sanskrit as a Chaitanya for the Hemchandra is a Suri, and there is a also is a mainly drums is written during to period. A new style of the written called to the Champu also emerged during to the period. It was a form that is a mix both opposed to the poetry. Among the Sanskrit works that were written with there is a pentagon of the Rajput king where to their family histories like a Prithviraj Vijay. The Prithviraj Vijay is the most important and the Hemira Mukha Kavya among the historical poem of the period was the is a Rajvinder that is the biographer of Sultan Muhammad is a Beghra of the Gujarat are written by their court of poet. Jay Devaraj is important. And another important work is Kalahan is a Rajtarangani. The Kalahan as a Rajtarangani which is presented as a history of the king of the Kashmir. And it was written in the 12th century AD. There is important and the second is a Rajtarangani was written by the Junaraj who wrote the history of the king of Kashmir from Jai Simha to the Sultan is a Zainul Abidin, and the third was written by Siribara, who is wrote the history of the result tile of 4086. Their third is most important. Apart from this, there are to the Prabandhas, as which were the semi-historical texts written during to this period. And after the 50th century, the is a patronage of the Sanskrit language was the maintenance in the southern court of the rulers of Vijayanagar. The Vijayanagar is the most important the Naikas of the Tanjore and their chiefs of there is a Transco of the Cochin. The various genres of the Sanskrit literature like Mahakavyas and Salis Kavya, Champus Kavya, Nataks and the historical Kavyas is continued. Among the important written the period where the Govinda Dikshita as a Satya, Sudha and their Sangi Dhardin began to among the important work. Sangita Sudhanindhi is among there is important work and the Apaya or Dikshti in the court of the Nayaka is a ruler of the Vellore and the Nilanatha is a district who was the minister in the court of the Nayaka and Madurai. The Chakra Kavi is who is protagonized by the ruler of the Kozhikode. That is important here. The historical kavyas give a glass pass not just of the plotted of the various ruler, but is also is a glass piece of the social preoccupation of the writer. And there are some of the Mughal as like Dara, Sokos is also come to the mention it in the this is a kavya. The Mughal princess is also created with the composition of the Parasasti is a honor of the Krishna Simha Saraswati is a Banaras. And there is also few work of the composed in the court of the ruler of the Bijapur and is a Golconda. But Sanskrit literature during this period began to decline. The next stage is the Persian literature. With the establishment of Delhi Sultanate, a new language and literary style was introduced into the subcontinent. The development of Persian literature is the subcontinent entering a new era in the writings of the Amir Khusro. He was a poet born in the family of Turkish immigrant and there is a began as the poet in the regime of the Sultan Balban. He was displayed to the Nizauddin Alioya and there is a prototype at the court of Jalauddin Khalji. Alauddin Khalji and the Ghiauddin's Tughlaq. He was said to be a composed the 99 work on different themes and numerous others to poetry. His poetry was written in the different form of the lyrics, odes, epics, and elays. This is a written style of represent the first instant of Persian style began to the compose in the Indian context. This come to be now as the Savik the Hind. There is a Hindi Indian style. Among the important work composed by him are Mutla ul Anwar and Sirins as a Khusrau, as a Laila Majnu and the Anya a Sikandari. And this work were dedicated to the Alauddin Khalji. Is the Angaris, he is the five events as a Ghazalas, as the Tuhafat, as a Sigar, and the Bakwa, Nakwa, and the is a Nihayat ul Kamal. He also is wrote to the Mansavis is a narrated poem which has been to the great historical and literature's value. Among this is a Qurans as a Sadam, as a Mutafa ul Fatah, is dealing with the military success of Jalauddin Khalji. And Tughlaq is a Nama describing to the Ghiauddin Tughlaq is a rise to the power. And the Khazan ul Fatah giving an account of Alauddin Khalji as a conquest of South. Among their other important Persian poet was a Sheikha Nazauddin Hassan, who was also is one of the poet in the court of the Alauddin Khalji. He is a Ghazal and earned him to the title as at to be Hindustan. The court of chronicles as well an important feature of the literatures is the during to the period of the Delhi Sultanate. Some important of this were to the is a Tawaqat is an I Nasri by the Mizos al Shiraz. Is a Fateh as Salahuddin's by the Islamic and the Fatahat of Firoz Shahi by the Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Ziauddin Baranis is made by the most important contribution to the Persian literature during their period. The Turkish a Firoz Shahi is the Fatahwa as Janadari are the important work. And the Sufi literature of the period developed a new form called to the Malfuzat that was in the form to the dialogues of the Sufi Sant. The most famous of this was the Fawad ul Fa'ad, written by the Amir Hassan, is a Hiziz. Is a continue to the anecdote of the Sakil Nizauddin as Alaya and the Khair ul Nazoil, continuing to the anecdotes of the Sheikh Nasruddin Muhammad. During the period, there was a mainly work that is translated into the Persian. The Tuti Naam is a book of the parrot by the Zia. Is a Naqshbandi was the first person of translation of the Sanskrit story. The Mahabharata and the Rajtarangani were also translated into the Persian during the period. The number of translation of Sanskrit work into the Persian grew during the design of the Firoz Tughlaq and is a Sikandar Lodi. Like that of the Sultanate, is a Persian also is a continue as the officially language of the Mughal court. The Mughal ruler is a princess also is a mentioned or traditional of written. The first Mughal empire, Babur is himself a literacy figure, and the right is a memoirs of Turkish and which was sequentially is translated into the Persian by Akbar Rahim Khan Khana. Is a Humayun is a composed of Persian divans. Princess Dara is a Sokos write a biography account of the Sufi son Mia Mir and the display in the Sakinatu Uliya. He also writes the Mazam ul Baradani is a melon of two oceans. There was a new genre of the Persian literature now as there is the Sabak a Hindu, the Indian style. The created during this period of the presence is a poet visiting and leaving the subcontinent. Writers like Fazis, Urfi, Talib, Gyani, Kashmiri, and the Vedil. There are among this who is a benefit from to the Pantagons there is received from to Mughals. Among the important work of Faizi as a Tabu Sir as a Sahaba, he also is a author is a Malay translation of Hindu religious book. Abdul is a Rahim Khan is a Khan is too talented to the scholar and poet like a during the design of Akbar and Jahangir. Akbar is a patronized to the great scholar historian Abdul Fazl. He is said to be a maintained library of the more than 4,000 books. He is known as the paragon of the extended to the many of right of the period. The poet Ali Kul is a Salin and the Abu Talib's Kalim, where is important poet during this reign of the Shah. The letter is said to be a authority to the Padma Sahamanama is a present literature in the south, receive of patagons from to the Adil Shahi, ruler of the Bijapur. Hiram Malik is a Kuamami and the Mullah Zuhari, where is regarded there is important peasant poet. The Qutub Shahi is a Golconda personalized as a poet like a Muhammad Hussain Tewarazi, and the development of the present literature in the Mughal court. A play an important role on the influence in there is the development and growth of Rizan literature. The language like a Punjabi, Puswatu, Siddhi and the Kashmiri were strongly influenced by the Persian. Growth and development of regional language. There is the most important here, growth and development of regional language. The growth of regional language like Hindi, Bengali, Assamese and Odisha, Marathi, Gujarati during this medieval period was an important development. And this language can be a trace to the 7th century to the 8th century, and when there is a seem to have a broken away from there is a Prakritic base. In the South, Malayalam is emerged as an independent language in the 14th century. The growth of this is a regional language is coincided with the growing to the regional is a sentiment and there are emergence of the regional polities. That resulted in the decline of the Sanskrit that was began to replace by the Persian and some of this regional language as a medium through which the administrative is a machinery and function. This rise of the Bhakti movement and the propagation using this language also is enabled the growth and development of this language. The next here is the most important Hindi and Urdu. Regional is a dialect like a Bharsa is a Haryanvi and the other dialect is spoken regions around to the Delhi and Punjab influenced to development of Urdu during to the formative stage. The basic structure of the language consists of the Kharis Boli. There is a Khari Boli, a mixture of the various dialects as spoken in the region mentioned above. The Khari Boli is a mainly established. The language adopted their Persian script and there is literature tradition. The word is Urdu as a Turkish organized to referring to be any army of the camp. It is seemed to has been to language that emerged that is dialected to the spoken in the Turkish is a camp between the officially and soldier. The Hindi Devis is a said to be language out of which the Urdu and Hindi eventually is developed. The work of the Amir Khusaru as they regarded to be have to led to the foundation of the language and this use of this language in the Deccan from is the 14th century onward and led to the literature speech is called to the Dakhani. The major center of the language were Gujarat is a Bijapur and Golconda, Vidar and the Aurangabad. The oldest is a retired to the traditional of the Sahid Banda Nawaz is a guest who as who was important Sufi in the Brahmani kingdom. Thus, Sultan of Bijapur Ibrahim's Their size too himself was a great is a patron of their author of the book is a music in the Dakkini language. Hindi involved reading to the Afro-Versa is a stage between to 7th to 8th century and there is a 14th century. It was characterized as a Birgatha Kala as of the heroes of poetry. Or there Adil Kala is earlier period. The various Rajput rulers is a patronized this and this poem written in there is a Rajasthani is related of Hindi and that is a glory of the Chayavaris and the Barwari. Among there is a famous work as the Prithvi Raj Raso of the Chandra Bardai and the other poem like there is a Bisaldev Roes as a Hamir Roso. And the authorities of the many of this work is adapted to the because of the various is the interpolation and made by the original draft. And there are other work of the Buddhist and Jain that can be ascribed to this period. The development of the Hindi language is undergone to the another transformation during the 14th century and the 15th century, with there is increasing use of the language in expressive of Bhakti tradition. And the idea, Kabir adopted a style called to the is a Ulta basis, as which is a consist of the paradox and there is a imizgams. Well, the Bhakti Sant like Tulsi Das used to the Avadhi related to of Hindi, other like Meera by used to the Marwari related to Rajasthan and Surdas used to the Braj Bhasha. There is the most important Braj Bhasha. The Sufi Sant is also used to development of the new neglected and the medium to the reach there out of the large audience and will the Chistis Sant as the Hindi will is a composing and the singing there is a revelation music. There is a most important and next year Bengali. There Bengali is the language the most important. The Bengali here the folk song called to the Charyapadas is a composed between the 10th to the 12th century or there is earlier a specimen of Bengali language. The work of the Kavindara and the Krikrandi. There is regarded to them along to the important earlier work is the Bengali, the growth of the Bhakti movement and the composition of various humorous associated with their Chaitanya and further provided their stimulus to be a development of the language. The Vrindavan and Chaitanya is a Bhagavata is a Chinatya is a Mughal and was such a contribution to the Bengalis literature that not only give a reliable account of the sant as a death is declared later but is also regarded to begin to the reflective of the social condition prevailing at that time. There Chaitanya is a Charitya Maritya and the Krishna Devas is a Kaviraj was also important account. Lochandas as associated with there is a introduce of the new style of the folk song is called Damalis. The narrative is a poem called to the Mangal is a kavya also is a great to the popular during this period. And this progressed to the important of local that is like a Chandi and transformed. Next here is important Assamese and Odisha. Assamese and the Odisha is the most important here. The 13th century work of the Hema is a Sarvavati is a Prabha Chandrati as a Hara Guru is a Samyada are regarded this first work of the Assami. The literature is a Assam also developed is a response to be a Bhakti movement. The Sankaradeva who is introduced to the Vaishnavism and the Assam also is a help to the stimulate the growth of Assamese poetry. And he is a decline of the Madhya Vadas as the right of Bhakti Rangavali and aligned with the sept of the Bhakti and Bharagitas as that is reflected to the life of Krishna and Vrindavana. There was also translation of the Puravanas and to the Asims in the Orissa. The work of the Saradasa is regarded their first work of the Oriya is literature. There is a numerous is a kavyas is a composed in the Puranic themes by the Madhu Swadana is a Bhisma and the Savibha. And there is a Rasa Kolo is right during the period also is a on the themes of the love between to Radha and Krishna. Other important work of Arda is a Vilasa of the Sisu Sankara is a Dasa and the is a Rukmini Viva of the Kartika Dasa. There is a work of the Apendra of Bhajan in the 1670 to the 1720 were important as the it as a new era of Odia literature in succeeding period. The next year literature in the South India. There is important literature in the South India. In the south is a Billy Putrara was the important literature figure of this period. The tradition of the using of Sanskrit words and literature expression of the ascribed to him. Other important work in Tamil are commentaries written by the Vishnavya is a scholar and also is a commentaries on the work of the Sangam as like a Tulk, Piyam and the Kural. There where is the, also is a number of philosophical is work of the commentaries that is written on the Puranas. Many of the work of Tamil literature were related to the civilism and there is a Vaishnavism. Among the important work of the middle period was the Irusu, Maya and the Vilakam written by the Harisa Das as a Sivda Motraram and the Savyam Samya Naves is a both written to the Marenda Banda. The Marenda Banda is the remnant to the philosophy of the notable work where to the Chidamma Puram Purana is a 15th century and Puran Tirambala Natham and there is a Palam Nitya Puramanam. There is a Balaspura Manyam and Kavya Rayaran. During this period, the most famous of Telugu poet of the era Paranda was the popularized the Champus, the genre of the literature written. Mixed from the verse of the Poras, he also is translated to the Bhagavata Purana, Bhagavad Purana into the Telugu. The Vijayanagar is a ruler, Krishna Dev Rai is right to the is a Amukutya Dya is a Telugu. The most celebrated poet is the court was Alarani is a Pedana and the Nandi Timaha, who write the Parisa Patna as the Bhautru Turis is a Rama Raja Bhushan and now from to the Basku Karitra and the Hari Sakandra is a Nalo Khyana, the traditional of story of the Nala and the Raja Harish Chandra, and in there is a Kannada speaking reliance of Jain are related to the dominated the literature of composition of their period. The work of the Basava and there is a follower is a popularized the various Nabya is a moment in the design also formed to important accept the Kannada literature. The pattern as of the Hosalya rule to the further development of the language. The Vadis Vidya Nanda of the Garapopa is the anthology of Kannada is poet. The Jain scholar Salabha and write a work like a Tri Karanakara on the is a cosmology and the Para is Vijaya Santrakara on the philosopher. And there is the important is a Bharat Kartika, that is story of the famous king Bharata. The Malayalam emerged as independent language during this period. The language was oral from and the earlier work of composed in the 14th century was the Rama Charitram and the work of Rama Panikar, who is the Bharata Ghat as a Savitri Mahatyam and the Bhagava Vatam and the considered important is a Malayalam. That is the most important here. The next topic is the most important here, the music. The music here, the southern period. The information of the music of the southern period is limited. The important phase in the development of music during the period of belong to be time of Amir Khusro. It is during to the period that is the Qawwali style is said to be ever developed. He is also credited for the development of many modern rags like Emaman, Goros and the Sonam. He is the credit with the creation of a new musical instrument, the sitar, that was is a combination of the Indian Beena and the Iranians is the Tumbura. There is a Turkish as a credit with the wearings of music instrument like tababs and saragangi into Southern Asia. In the Vrindavans is a Swami Haridas is a promoted to the music and it is considered to have a tuft as a Tansen who was at the court of the Mughal Empire Akbar. The Tansen is the most important Mughal Empire Akbar time. Tansen is regarded as an important exponent of their Hindustani classical music, and it is credited with the introducing a rag as the Million Ki Malhar. The Million Ki Malhar is the most important, and Million Ki the Todi and Barbari. The Raja is a Mansings is said to be a play important role in the perfection of the is the Drupad style of the Northern Indian music. In the south, a system of rag known as the Jhanka and the Janya rags is excited to the during this period. And the Soramela and Kalandai is a Ramatyams and the Kondavadu written in the 15 to the 50 described to the 20 Jana and the 64 Janas rag. By the 18th century, several new form of the music like Tarana, Dara and the Ghazal and how to come into the excitance. That's the most important here of music. Next topic is the most important here of painting. The painting is the most important here Sultanate period. The painting is the most important play of the role in the Sultanate period. The development is a painting during the Sultanate period has not been to the studies because of the limited samples. The closest view that one has of morals is the Sultanate is to be a numerous is a literacy reference. This earliest reference to be morals is a Qasida in the Paris of the Itumis, which describe the figures adapted to the pond to the escadrille of their main arch and that was raised to the welcome to the envoys of the Khalifa. In another reference of the Turqa is a Firoz Shahi, where is the reference to the Sultan is a seeking to a ban to the tradition of the figures painting on the wall of the faces of the Delhi. Quranics is a calligraphers has also become popular across the South Asia during this period. The earliest is a copy of the Quran as dated 1399 was written by the Gwalior and his manuscript was decorated with this variety of the ornamentals modified by the 15th century. The kingdom of Gujarat, Malwa and Janpur emerged as an important center of art. The painting is a middle India is entered a new phase under the Mughals. There is a character of painting across the North India. The Mughal painting are defined by their style and subject popular at the imperial's court. The earlier origins of the Mughal school of the painting can be traced to the Kabul. During the reign of the Humayun, two of parents artists, the Mr. Said Ali and the Abdus Samad, where is a patronized. There is important here. Akbar adapted them to the trade to the manuscript of Hamazama. There is the most important here, Hamazama. And this manuscript of the 1400 pages and is accompanied by the artist derived from to the Gwalior, Gujarat, Lahore and Kashmir. It is during this period that many features of the Mughal painting developed. Many paintings of this period are collaborate of effort with the two or even four painters. The working on a painting. Among the important features of the painting of the period are restricted movement of the figures, finances of the lines of drawing and flat is a demonstrations of the architectures is a column. The Mughal painting are also is a mark with the naturalisms and the rums and there is a clothing of the object is assumed or Indian form and the use of the sub-jewelries. A sense in the background, the two most common themes is the Mughal paintings of this period are specific even in the court and the portraits of the leading personality. That is the most important here a painting. Here show the most important painting of the Mughal Empire time. There is important painting show in this picture. During the reign of the Jahangir, there is other change in the style of Mughal painting. The painting of the Jahangir is a period accentuated of the florist of style have a border is a margin which is a well decorated with the depiction of the flora and faces of the human figures. And the naturalistics of representation mature during the design of Jahangir and the use of tree, bird, stem and the river in the backdrops of painting become a very popular on this time. There is interesting the scenes of the love and portrait of the woman member attached to there is a royal court of Mughal painting of the Shah Jahan period. Well, the painting of the Aurangzeb's period provide the glass piece of the Mughal Empire during the campaigns. As architectures as the Mughal painting also give a way to be growth and development of the regional style, and that is a try to replicate the same feature of the characteristics of decorated design. The Rajput paintings that are also of the same period consist of the various different court style and corresponding to the various Rajput kingdom. The Rajput painting during the 16th and 17th centuries use a many a representation of the mythology and the court of scenes. And here show the Rajput times of painting in this picture. Here show the Rajput painting. There is a most important here a Rajput time. The painting is making on this style. There is a most important painting show in your screen. The Rajput paintings are spread over to a large or geographical region, and with each region is forming a separate subtopic in the artistic themes. The other style that were popular were the regional style of the Deccan and the regional of Bengal, Gujarat and Orissa. There is the most important decline of the design of the Bengal, Gujarat and Orissa. The Rajput painting have further flourished in the 18th century when many of the artists shifted to the court of their new patrons, and this also is a considered with the emergence of the many smaller design style of the painting, and these paintings are known as from to the intensity of the color that their use of the depth of the hunting scenes, potential of the invisual and the musical scenes. The main style of the painting were a Mewar and the Bandis, and there is a Kishangarh school. There is the most important here. So our next topic is the most important here, architecture. There is architecture is the most important here on the same time. The architecture of the Delhi Sultanate, there is the most important. The new architecturally is a form of style were introduced in India during to the Middle period. The arch and the domes were a new architecturally additional of the period. The use of limes is more in the construction of the building and the house, alternative to the building of techniques. The development of the truss arch was an important feature of the architectural style of the period. The true arch is required to stone and the brick to be laid on the viscosity and their shape of the curve and the bond together formally by a good binding of material. The arch where is made in a different shape, but the dominant as one was the pointed form. In the 14th century, as a variant of their arch, the corridor for center arch was introduced by the Tughlaq in the buildings. There is important here. There are only a few instances of the earlier Turkish building in the subcontinent where is the newly quadrate of material has been deployed. In a most of the building of the period, the ditches is a curve is a capitals, is a column and shop of the older building is used. A stone has been to use abundantly in the Mansouri's work of this period, and the material is commonly is used for the plasterings building was gypsum. And the apparently is a lime and plaster was a reserve for the place that needed to be a score against the water leakage as a roofs and canal and drain. In the later period, the gypsum is a mortars become too popular in a building material, and where we use a provide you have very account of metals architecture during the Sultanate period, and there are a Mughal and regional style which is developed in India during this middle period. This time of buildings, the most important show here in the diagram, the Qutub Minar and the Alef Darwaza. There is the most important building here, important for the Qutub Minars and Alef Darwaza. The Sultanate period architecture, there is the most important point here, is a monumentums like the Quavatas, Islam is a mosques is a 1198 Qutub Minar and the 1199 to the 1235. The Qutub Minar is important and otherwise Din ka zone of Pura is the 1200 and the Itumis is the tombs is represented the earlier form of Indo-Islamic architecture. The earlier buildings show the sign of the wing to the work upon by the local craftsman. Well, there is a little buildings and show the development are the maturing of the Indo-Islamic style. In this is a momentum one can see the gradually development of domes and the true arch. The best example of this arch is the terms of the Itumis is a 1233 to 34 and Balban 1287 to 88. The Ali Darwaza is the Kutub is a complex is 1305 and the Jammat Khana is a masjid at the Rizauddin is a 1325 are example of Khalzi period. Here was noticed a change the mark by there is a district is influenced by the Sahzad architecture is a traditional. The implement of the true arch is a shaped like a pointed horseshoes. The emergence of there is true domes use of the red sandstone and the decorated is a marble is a relief. The image of the lotus as a ball face of the underside of their arch and the new Minosaurs were an important feature of this new style. The new architectural style of the Tughlaq period is represented with the use of stone doubles as their principal building material. The batterings of the wall and base stations, the new types of art, is called the four center art. The emergence of the pointed domes and the use of on the octagon plan of the tombs building. Another important feature of the Tughlaq architecture was the butter or shopping wall. The give a structure as effect of strength. During the sequent period, the numerous tombs were built using to the octagonal plan, while the other where is the built using to the square plan. The architecture is a momentum of Suryas can be divided into the two periods. The first with the buildings at a Sesarams is a 1530 to the 40 like a terms of Sher Shah as a father and the Sher Shah himself. The second phase of the 1540 to 45 is represented by the building like a Purana is a Quella and Delhi and the is a Quellis Kuna is a masjid inside there is a Quella. The silence of the flatness in the curve toward the crowd to the indicated of the last stage before the development of the four center art development during the Mughal phase. The next is a point here, regional variation. There is the most important here. During this period, there was a development of various regional architectural forms. In the eastern India, there was the development of two distinctive schools as a Bengal and a Jaunpur. The most is a prominent is a building of the Bengal school belong to the Malada as a district in the Miraman of the two cities, Isgar and the Pando. Where is the introduction of the two important features? The first was the drop arch, and which had a span greater than its radius and center at the emperor level. The second was a method of raising the roof in a system or arches as a bay where is a small dome supported by the diagonal is arranged of brick pentagon tips as a help of a traditional from the square to the circular base. Another development in this period was the tradition from to the constructing to the bamboo house to the brick structure, during which is a special form of curved roof are developed. The best iteration of the architecture style from Jaunpur are the Muscus. The style here is a where is a close resemblance to be is a Tughlaq is style, and there is a use of the arch as a beam and a notable feature of this style. In Western India, the development of regional is architecture form is notable in a 14th century Gujarat. Here there is a distinctive change in the art from the 14th into the 15th century. In the former, there was a large-scale use of building material from the demolished to the temple, and in the latter, there is a development of new style in which the loyalty of the Muscus copy the architectural imprint of the temple. In a center, India, development of new art form and there is a notable in the Malabar region. The city of Dhar and the Mandus is a reflection of this style. Another important reason that is development in the destructive style was the Deccan, where the Brahmins kingdoms create a very different architectural style in the compare to the northern architectural form. The Deccan style developed with the fusion of the Tughlaq style from the northern and Iranian style. The development of the architectural styles here coincide with the shifting of the kingdom as a capital from Gulbarg is a 1347 to Vidhar is a 1425 and eventually is a Golconda 1512. In the first phase of the Gulbarga in the architectural style is representative of the distinctives of Islamic architecture that is a flow there is Tughlaq style. In the second phase, there is the adaptation of the Iranian architectural style, and this accompanied with their use of colored tiles, a mural painting, and a change in the shape of the dome. Another important regional is the development in the Deccan was Vijayanagara is art. There is a distinctive style is the best architecture use of architecture form of the city of Hampi. And besides the places of the temple, the city also had a extensive network of is a water work and the public buildings such as the elephant stable and the lotus mahal. The unique feature of the style where is the use of pillar from architecture and decorating is a purpose. The climax of the temple architecture or Vijayanagara is accurate under to the Tulava is a ruler. Their architecture is a traditional was accompanied by their vibrant is a sculptures, a traditional that use many is a mythological figure of the narratives. The swearing of the Hamakuta hill is a Virupaska is temple and the Hazrat Rama is temple are example of the Vijayanagara temple architecture. The architecture of the Mughal Empire, there is important here. This period is a witness a large-scale architecturally is activity that is represented the peak of the Islamic art in India. It was also a period where was the great change of the ideas and style that led to be a creation of a style that was very different from the Sultanate period and that had a many features of the local and regional style. The Mughal Empire is Akbar initiated there. The grand is a project that symbolizes this period. Among the earliest structure of the period are the two mosques built of the Babur at the Sambhol and the Panipat in 1526. Babur is also created with the lining out of the garden at the Dolpur and the Ram Bagh of the Jahara Bagh at the Agra. Two mosques on the Agra and the other is a Hisar. They belong to the design of the second Mughal Empire, Humayun. The grandness of Mughal architecture began with the construction of the Humayun as a tombs and it is designed by the Mirza Ghias from the Persians. His boss with there is a Persians is a craftsman to work on the tomb. This tomb is the earliest is a specimen of a garden enclosure of their arising on the scattered is a sandstone platform. The tomb is octagonal and surrounded by a high dome. Their dome is a double dome, which is built in the two layer, one of which is provided with the ceiling to be interior of the building and the other which will provide to the outer layer that covers there is a building. There is a most important here show in this picture. This picture is the most important here. Humayun's tomb. There is an important picture and the two domes here and the domes of the other side. There is the most important Humayun as a tomb. During the design of the Akbar, many is undergoes is a style where is encouraged relating to their common use of the sandstone. The use of arches mainly is the decorated form. And the decoration that is comprised mainly of the worldly scrabble and the inherent pattern and the complementary by their brightly of color patterns on the interior. Among the important is a monumental is a project is undertaken was the buildings of Agra Fort. Within the fort of there is a mainly structure that were built in the Gujarat and Bengal style, which were subsequently is demolished by their Shah Jahan, and who is removed is a fort and it is interior. The Jahangir Mahal is conceived as a rebut of the building in the red stone is a function of the Hindu and Islamic building design. The combination of the beams and the bracket form to the principal structural style. The same style are seen in the places of fortresses of the Lahore and the Allahabad. The Mughal architecture under Akbar entered a new phase with the construction of the Fatehpur Sikri. The city place of the builder entire of the red sandstone between to the 1571 to 1585. The building could be a study under a two category, regional and scholar. There is the most important here. Among the regional is a building are there is the most important. The Jamis is a masjid as the Baland is the Darwaja and the temples of the Sahiga Salim Sisti. And the scholar is a structure are the faces administrative building and other structure. The Jama Masjid is a use a typically plan of the mosques with their center courtyard. Added on this are three sides and there is a domed skylines in the courtyard lies the domes of the Salim Chisti. Among the places are their building known as the Zoda Bai Place. The punch is a mahal in their size of the 5 structure than a dimension as one go higher. The Divane a house in there is a form of the rectangle and the two is a story from the outside. Al Divane arm is among two other building here is a path is pole and the Nakhana is building. The important building of the design of the Jahangir included to the tomb of Akbar Eta Sikandra and the tomb of Itramad as the Dole and the tomb is a Sikandra is designed as a tomb. Enclosed by the garden, the tomb itself of 3-story height of first being to the arch and platform making the basement of middle potential of 3 tier of the red sandstone. Well, there is the highest is the one of made of white marble which is open on the top with the screen surrounding. And the tombs is a Itland of the doors is built in the 1622 to 28 mark as a change in the architectural style from the Akbari period. And this is enclosed tomb with the dome's roof is enclosed with the beautiful marble tracery is a Jahangir is also known as Zaba, led a famous Mughal garden in a Kashmir. There is a show of the diagram picture is the most important here. Here the most important structural there is the Jama Masjid. There is a Delhi in the most important on this. There is a domes here. Among the important is the momentum of the design of Shahjahan or the Lal Kila as in Delhi and the Moti Masjid at Agra, the Jama Masjid in Delhi and the Taj Mahal. The Lal Kila is their design as a rectangle along to the bank of the river Yamuna. There are 2 gates. There is a Delhi and the Lahore gate. There is a model that run all along. There is a fort expect in there is a reverse side. The important buildings inside the fort are Divane Am, Divane Khas and the Rang of Mahal. The Moti Masjid is Agra was an experiment with the alternatives themes of the open prayer hall that has also disappeared with the minorities and that replace them with the chhataris on the 4 corners of the prayer hall. The Jami Masjid is a larger version in the Jama Masjid is a Fatehpur Sikri. It is built on the large platform. Within the mosques there are connected on the 3 sides with their sanctuaries along the 4th. There is a 3 marble domes is arising from to sculpture. The Taj Mahal is represented the grand taste of project of the Shahjahan. The construction of the Taj began in the 1632 and completed by the 1643. The plan of complex rectangle with the high enclosure wall and the soft gate is way in the middle. The main building of the Taj stand on the high marble platform at the northern end of the enclosure. There is a hugs and the domes that is covered the top of the structure is inverted is a lotus funnel. And there is a decorated to the feature of the building is a constant mainly is a calligraphy and the analyst work in the exterior of the Petra, Dora and the interior. The Moti Masjid at the Lal Kila in Delhi, there is a Badshai Masjid in Lahore and the mosque is built for the wife Rabia Udaydauran at the Angrabad are the main example of the Mughal architectures under Aurangzeb. The Musculan Siams at the Angrabad was a model to the Taj Mahal of the architectural is momentum after the Aurangzeb. The terms of the Safadar is young a daily representative of the congregations of traditional of the Mughal by their regional governor. Here show the Safada Ganj is a style. There is a most important show in this picture. The next year, decoratic style. Another feature of the art of this period was the decoratic art is Islamic building that was introduced in a subcontinent for the first time. And this decorative style were usually in the form of calligraphy, geometrically figure and flotation. In the calligraphy is aquatic styling where is inscribed on the building in a angular. Sober and the monumental is the script is called Kufi. The choreography was found in the different part of the building as on the door frame and the ceiling, wall as a panel, etc. The geometrical shape, on the other hand, were used different variety of combination. The generating of source of this design was the circle, which was then to the development into the a square, triangle, and polygon. And this form were elaborated by the multiplication and subdivision by the rotating and symmetric is arrangement. Of the flotation of dominant form to decoration employed in there is a sultanate is a building was the Arabo squeak. It is characterized by the continuous stem that is split up regularly and producing a series of the lefts. Leafly is a secondary stem which is split again to then integrate off into the main stem. There is the most important here.